and welcome to the Life Illuminated Podcast. I'm Maggie Kelly, your host, and today I'm really thrilled to include Christiane Michelberger from Hamburg, Germany, to join us today and give us a little idea of what set her on her path to awakening and how she found her way. And welcome, Christiane.
Thank you so much for your greeting, Maggie, and thank you for inviting me to your podcast. I read your site and I'm really excited about it because I think we share a lot.
Yes, I think we do too.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to hear a little bit more about your journey. I read also your site and I can see it's typical, it seems, and correct me if I'm wrong, it seems typical to me as a psychotherapist and a meditation and teacher and a someone who deals with a lot of different people, that most often we come to looking for awakening when we're in a state of crisis or we're in a state of despair. And it looks to me like that's sort of how you came to this path as well. Can you share with us?
Well, when I originally entered the path, I was very young, 25 years old, so now it's nearly 45 years ago. And that was in one of the night shifts during my internship in surgery when I trained to be a physician right after medical school. And so I was on this night shift, and then my phone rang, and the receptionist said, there is an ambulance announced with a motorbiker who is very badly injured. Okay, so I called all the people together, and we waited for him. But when he arrived, he had passed already. We couldn't do anything for him. And then the doctor's duty is to examine this person, why he died, because there will be a lawsuit against the driver, and they have to find out how this all happened. And we had to look for his papers too. And so I looked for his papers and found this in one of this many motorbiker pockets. And I looked on it on the ID card, and this man was born in the same year I was born in. He was 26, 25 years old as well. And in that moment, it struck me that death is not just an always existing possibility, but actually an upcoming reality. And it was a total shock. And my very first thought was, and I don't even know who I am.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that? What do you mean by there's no reality?
There is no reality?
What exactly, tell us a little bit more about the realization you came to with this motorbiker.
Yes, I realized, everybody knows somewhat that dying is possible at any time. And that's about how far we go. But in this moment, this man was just my age. I realized that death is a coming reality. It's not an always existing possibility only.
I see. Yes, true, right? A lot of us fear death. We go through our lives fearing death or fearing the death of one of our loved ones.
Right.
And sorry, go ahead.
And in that moment, this thought just came up, and I don't even know who I am. And it felt like that was the most urgent next task, to find out, who am I really?
Yes.
I don't know where this thought came from. I have no idea.
Well, it sounds like it came from the idea that someone as young as you at the time could die instantly.
Right.
Without any warning.
Right.
And that kind of shook you awake in one sense, or put you at least on the path, right?
Yes, it did. But I didn't know what to do. I wasn't engaged in spirituality at all. I was singing in a church choir. That was about what I was engaged with in regarding spirituality. And so it was like, and what do I do next? I didn't know. But I told my husband then, and after another night shift, like 2 weeks later, I think, I came home and he said, I was having breakfast, it was Saturday morning, and he said, have a look in the newspaper, there is a meditation class for beginners.
Isn't that
I thought
wonderful?
I probably have to meditate. This far I got already.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. And so it was a Zen introduction. So Zen is my spiritual mother tongue. And I went there and it totally resonated. And I started meditating that day and didn't stop my daily meditation for decades. It was
Wow.
just something I did. And so that set me on the path.
And what came out of your meditation that made you want to continue to meditate for all that time? And I'm guessing you're still meditating.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm just sitting. So when we take away everything that we read into experience, that we paint our experience with, what remains is a very natural state, and it's very quiet inside. I think about 75% of our thoughts are self-related, and where that is no longer a thing to talk about because it's no longer experienced, then they get quiet. And I just sit in silence, you could say. And sometimes the meditate, in early Buddhism, they teach the three liberations, how you can access them. And sometimes I slip into them, but otherwise I just sit in silence and enjoy it.
Mhm. And what did you gain through your meditation practice?
So since I was pretty dedicated, I had some very early hints where I was heading, as it were. Like I was singing in this choir. It was a very small choir. We had only 3 people in each voice. And we were singing, the Psalter, the Lord is my shepherd, in composition through all centuries. And we were singing along, and I think we were in the Romantic period at that point. And all of a sudden, I was singing these words again. And I realized they are true, but in a totally different way than I could ever have imagined. And I had no words for it.
Like a deeper
And
understanding of exactly what the words were trying to convey.
right. And also this very sweet love flooded me. And I thought, there were some people I didn't really like in this choir, but I liked them suddenly as well. I found them actually really nice. I thought, no, this is weird. Okay, do they experience the same maybe? But I couldn't tell. And they couldn't tell that I was experiencing that, of course. And so this taste, it had a very certain taste to me. This sweet Lovejoy. I call it Lovejoy because this molecule consists of 1 atom love and 1 atom joy in this experience, and this taste experience. And so when this experience repeated itself, I knew I wasn't going mad or weird, which I sometimes thought I might be, but this was actually the right path. And then later, like 2 years later, I had a beautiful experience. I was just crossing a bridge in Tübingen in southern Germany, a very beautiful medieval town. And all of a sudden, everything just looked totally different, as if somebody had flipped the switch. And I saw that everything was just made out of one and like being breathed in and out. Now, this doesn't really convey what I saw, but somehow, and again, this feeling arose, and it stuck to me quite a while.
Getting that sense that we are not separate, that you're not separate
Right,
from your environment or anything in it.
right, and nothing is separate from anything else. So it's not just me from everything, but everything has basically consists out of the same. Now I say no stuff thingy.
Mm.
I don't have a better word for it.
Well, Thich Nhat Hanh says it like everything in we are. We are
Yes, the
interrelated and we
yes,
inter-are.
yes.
So it sounds like that's what you're conveying.
Though now this is no longer my experience. Now I'm living in a very quiet space without these kinds of insights or things. It changed a lot. Well, anyway, and this is how I knew I was kind of on the right track, and that kept me going.
It's interesting how it's almost an intuitive sense that you're
Mm-hmm.
on the path and you're almost being pulled down the path nice and slowly
Right.
at
And
your
the
own level of consciousness in the moment.
Right. And the truth somehow makes itself known that it is true. I don't know. I always wondered about the sense that you know it's true. I never found out how that works, but it's kind of inherent in this experience.
And that's what they call Buddha nature, and we all have it, right? We all have a Buddha nature. We just don't realize it because we put so much on top of who we are.
Right.
Expectations and clinging and grasping and searching for happiness somewhere out there. We
Mm-hmm.
forget we have everything we need right here in this chair right
Right.
here. It's simple. It's a simple concept, but it isn't easy.
No, it's not easy. Absolutely not.
Well, not when we are raised, at least in America, in my society here. We're raised in an environment that's all about wanting and needing more. And
Mm-hmm.
every advertisement on a radio, television, wherever is about, if you have X, Y, and Z, you're going to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think our collective mindset is happiness isn't here. I need to find it somewhere out there.
Right. Right. And it goes even further because what the Buddha said is true. Satisfactoriness is not available. So to expect that we always could feel good, that is exactly the trap the advertisement uses. You just take this, buy this, take this deal, this food, this whatever, this car, this furniture, you'll be so happy ever after.
Well, and the flip side too is that when you keep searching, you're forgetting that, or maybe not knowing that the true gift is in the suffering. And that is the basis of the Four Noble Truths in Buddhism, right? If I don't confront my suffering, then I can't possibly awaken or grow. That suffering's
Absolutely.
part of the deal.
Absolutely. And you can see how much that is avoided right now in the pandemic, because when you watch the news, everybody is trying to convey, now the politicians, right? Everything is under control and everything is fine. And then come the specialists and virologists who say nothing is under control. And this is under control. Then come the journalists and say, why didn't you do this then and that? Then everything would be under control.
Right. Looking for blame and responsibility out there, when really I think what drives all of that is our underlying fear
Yeah,
as
of death.
human beings. I don't want to die. Oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh, let's not get sick. And, as opposed to living in the present moment and just being here now. I'm not sick now. I do not
Right,
have COVID now.
right,
All there is for me to do is what there is for me to do today. They
right.
tell me to stay home, I'll do that. I have a
Right.
child who's chronically ill, and if he were to
Mm-hmm.
contract COVID, it would not be good. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
very careful, but I'm also not afraid to die.
Right. And this is really the secret. My favorite meditation I teach my people, I call come to your senses. Just what can be seen right now, heard, because our senses always happen now. And and just coming back to that can help so much.
Exactly. I do the same with my students as I have them practice each day choosing a different sense.
Mhm. Yeah, that's good.
Like today would be the sense of smell. And every now and then just clue in to what you're smelling. And then
Hmm.
tomorrow what you're touching or what have you.
Hmm.
It's just a nice little mindful habit to
Hmm.
have in your day to day, I think. So I love
Right.
that. Come to your senses. It's cute. It's
I
great.
mean, at some point, the now cannot be left anymore when any sense of self is gone. And actually, I found that really stressful. I've felt like being caught in the architectures of now. It's so confined.
Can
And I
you
couldn't,
elaborate on that? That the now, there's at some point the now cannot.
yes. So, what I do, I guide through the 10 fetters the Buddha taught. The 10 fetters are basically assumptions we have about experience. And it starts with that there is a me who thinks and feels and decides and controls and acts. So the me is the most outer layer. And then there are several more layers, which are seen through in 7 steps. And the fifth step is seeing that there is not only not a me that thinks, but seeing that there is even the subtle sense of self that still remains. For me, it was a taste again. I with my tastes. And I had known it for my whole life since I was like 7 or so. I always knew that. And it's the sense of I exist or I am. And when that falls away, there is no possibility to go anywhere else than stay right here. Thoughts cannot go into the future and past any longer. I don't know why, actually, why this happens in that step, but that
And
made me complain.
it can be quite frightening for someone
Ah,
because
it was
you're
frightened.
losing your sense of balance, your sense of what you knew of
Absolutely.
yourself and what you knew yourself to be. All of those roles that we play were starting to fall away. Then who are you?
Right, right. And there is nothing to hang your hat on. I'm not even a Buddhist teacher. I'm really nothing. And anyway, we have some Facebook groups, and I complained at length there because I thought, oh, this I didn't sign up for this. People should be warned. You cannot imagine that experience.
Yes, I have students who, after I teach some meditation, they ask me, well, some confronting thoughts came up during meditation. What should I do with those? And I say, typically what I say is, you can choose to go deeper with those thoughts and sort of uncover the layers of why that's coming up right now, or you can ignore it. But what are you here for? Right.
Right.
If you're searching for awakening, my suggestion would be that you dive in to whatever that is that's coming up, because it wouldn't be coming up unless there was a reason for you to look.
Hmm. Hmm.
But it is scary.
Yes, it is. And this is really important. Now, I'm a psychoanalyst as well. I'm trained as a psychoanalyst later. And I think it's really important to not try to bypass difficulties with spirituality. I did that very successfully with Zen. And like any difficult emotion, no problem, turn to the breath and it's gone. And when I was in India as well, and I did Vipassana training there, and my teacher somehow she got that, And she said, Christiane, you're averting each time something unpleasant comes up. You have to feel these emotions. And that was totally new for me.
Well, and in Vipassana, it's also about just not dwelling there, right? Feeling it and allowing it to dissipate without the clinging or
Right,
the aversion.
right, right.
And that right there is a lifetime skill to learn.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And I practice Vipassana
Mm-hmm,
meditation, and I teach
mm-hmm,
mantra meditation
mm-hmm,
as well. So,
mm-hmm.
and Vipassana for me was probably the most life altering experience I've ever had,
Yeah. Mm-hmm,
because I allowed myself, and that's the nature of Vipassana, to allow yourself 10 solid days, at least as a beginning class,
yes, yes.
in total absolute silence, having taken the precepts, and there's nowhere to go. There's
Right.
nothing to do. You can't fill it up with for me, it's reading and writing when I want to fill up my time. So I
Mm-hmm,
couldn't fill it up with my reading or writing or talking, um, socializing or anything. And then you're stuck with yourself. And it didn't really, it took me really until about day 7 of the 10-day Vipassana retreat
mm-hmm,
for me to get the whole point of
mm-hmm,
why I was there. And
mm-hmm.
then by day 10, I was like, oh no, I need to do this longer. I don't want to go home right now. I felt like I was just starting to get it.
Right. Beautiful. I love the silence retreats now, and then it's always in silence anyway. So I was quite used to that, but I love it. I just love it so much, just sitting in silence with people.
It's interesting though, and so many people are afraid. My new students, first of all, have a misperception that meditation means you're supposed to stop thinking. So that's the
Yes,
first
right.
misperception I have to
Mm-hmm.
address, along with the physiological aspect that meditation can help you with
Mm-hmm.
in terms of just so much stress. Here, at least in the United States, before COVID, just so many people on like a treadmill and hamster wheel of stress and just not even being present to what
Mm.
they're doing or to what they're saying or to what they're feeling or any of it. This is why I'm really hopeful that this forced COVID pause will awaken some of us
Mm-hmm.
to that it's okay to be in stillness. It's okay not to fill it up with shopping or drinking or gambling or all those things that we do to
Mm-hmm.
take ourselves out of the present moment.
Right, right. Yes. I mean, if not so many people would die, I would think this is heaven right now.
Yeah, I agree. I
Mm.
absolutely agree. And I think it's beautiful to watch nature recuperating
Right.
with our absence.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful to be able to see the pictures of New Delhi, India, clear, with the
Mm-hmm.
sky clear, and the lions in Africa laying on the road because no one's bugging them, and the sea turtles coming back to nest
Wow,
on
yes.
the beaches in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, I'm just curious, what do you think will happen next? What do you think when we open up our world again? Do you think things will have changed?
Oh, I don't know. I'm pretty bad with clairvoyance, but um, I would think for some people this was an eye opener, and others will go back to normal and just catch up on what they missed out
Yes,
on.
yes, yes. I think that's true. I just have hope that more of us will be awakened through this experience not.
Mm.
Than not to this idea that we were talking about before, that the whole premise for you getting on the path was realizing I'm going to die. That's just part of
Mm-hmm.
the deal.
Mm-hmm.
So if we all start to realize and not fear that we're going to die, we would be living this moment so much differently, I think.
Yeah, but I think this is not something that can be done. That is really the fruit of the process. It's not something that we can think ourselves into reliably, so it'll stick when the day comes when it's like, oh, I'm really sick. I actually got a cold and was really sick. And I have a little device where I can measure my blood oxygen. And from my old days, it was dropping considerably. And I thought, I should call a doc. And now in Germany, you only got tested when you were sick enough, really. Well, I got tested. They didn't find the virus, strangely. But okay, there's 30% false negatives, so it doesn't say that much. And I thought, okay, this might just go downward now. I don't know that now. And I talked to the person who had guided me through the fetters. And I'm right now in the process of finishing this book. And he said, if you die, I'm going to finish it for you. And I found that so sweet.
That is sweet. That is really sweet.
Because it's such a lot of work.
Yes, to write a book. Yes. What is your book about?
It's about the 10 fetter path, my path. It contains the whole email dialogue I had. We only were in connection via email. My guide is in Seattle. And yes, and that was a very kind of adventurous path because he had just discovered it. And at some point we had caught up and we both needed to kind of explore, okay, where do we go from here now?
Oh, that's wonderful to have a mentor
Yes,
partner of
yes, it's
sorts to help
awesome.
you on the path.
Yes, it's
Yes.
wonderful. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Um, so what is your experience of how our audience can live a life illuminated? What would
Well,
you recommend?
I since I really think what I do is a very reliable path to awakening, to real awakening, um, I would say to really learn how to take away all these thought layers that are like dirtying our glasses so we can't see through them. They are just like mud on the glasses, one layer after the other. And some is pretty dried already, so it sticks well. And just to take that off one layer after the other again, and so that they can truly experience this total sense of freedom and there is really no suffering any longer. The Buddha is keeping his promise. The
That's right.
suffering ends. And
But we have to work.
we have to do the work. It
We
won't
have
happen
to
on
put
its
the
own.
work in.
For some people, it does happen on its own, but it's a rare
Pretty
unicorn.
rare.
To most people, they do have to engage in practice. And what I do is it's very, very simple. We just start with, okay, whatever we think of is not really there. That's the first thing most people can grasp. Like when they think of strawberries right now, they're probably not in front of them.
Right.
And I'm waiting for the strawberry season. I love it.
It's coming.
Yeah,
It's coming.
right. And um, so, and then with knowing that whatever we think is not what is really there, I have them look that we have many words. We have words for all kinds of things, for things that actually exist, like my glasses, or for things that are a concept, but the parts exist, like university, school, town. The town as such doesn't really can't be found, but the houses, the people living there, the cars, the streets, the shops, that can be found. And then there are words that don't describe anything that exists, like Santa, Tooth Fairy, Mickey Mouse. Now it gets harder. Awareness, consciousness. All these are simply words, and what actually exists, we can experience with the five senses. It's that simple. Every child learns that. When it says, "Oh, there's a dragon under my bed, I can't sleep," then daddy comes or mommy, and they both look under the bed, or only mommy, because the child is too afraid to look. And there's no dragon under your bed. You can go to sleep now. It's gone. And what is the word I?
Right. Who am I?
For not even who am I,
But,
am I.
right.
That is the difference between the non-dual path and the Buddhist path. And like I have them do very simple experiments, like flipping the hand like this, and then just watching like a hug, palm up, palm down. What is doing that? Just watch, for example, and lots of little experiments. And at some point, the penny drops that there is no me, and then there will be a shift, a shift, a noticeable shift that changes the experience of the world and of oneself.
One thing that
And
just popped into my mind when you were using the palm experiment there was when I was little. I can't remember how old I was. Whenever I had an itch and then I would scratch it, I would ask myself, what am I feeling? Am I feeling the itch, or am I feeling the person scratching the itch?
wow.
When I was really, really young, I remember doing that. I remember vividly doing it with my knee. As,
Wow.
I don't know, maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But like, what am I feeling? Am I feeling the itch, or am I feeling the scratch?
Children have really important questions to ask.
Yeah, they do, right? They're our best teachers. For sure. My kids have been, for sure. Yeah.
Yes, and the next step then is desire and ill will. We think that there is something that makes us react when something happens that doesn't feel good. And seeing that that is not the point totally just banishes any reactivity.
Right. That whole Vipassana aversion and craving.
Yes, this
Aversion
is
and
just
craving.
gone. It's just gone. It just doesn't come up any longer. Each fetter has a shift except for the ninth, the restlessness. And I thought, oh, I never knew what true contentment was before. I felt so content. It was really amazing.
Why do you think that is?
Because I didn't push and pull any longer at experience. It was just what it was.
Right.
And
Without
my
that
contentment,
expectation, without
right,
without the clinging, without the grasping.
right. And my contentment wasn't dependent on something external any longer.
Yes, I find that I'm seeing that more in myself throughout this whole COVID experience, that a lot of my clients are very anxious and very depressed and, worrying about the clear uncertainty of the future, which of course is normal.
We are only in the beginning of this.
But I feel personally just a complete sense of peace.
Yes,
A
beautiful.
complete sense of calm that, I'm not in charge. I'm not in charge. And that was sort of my awakening. I realized I'm not in charge, but the funny thing is I never was.
Right.
I always thought I was, I'm going to make my son well. I'm going to take him to the best doctors. He's going to be cured and it's all going to be perfect because I'm going to fix it. Right? At some point in there, I woke up. It's like, and I actually physically started laughing at myself when I realized I'm not in charge. I was like, you dummy. What made you think you were?
I thought the same. I thought, gosh, how could you be so stupid for 40 years and not see this?
Right? Yeah. And I think to me, that was the greatest realization. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm okay that and what a sense of peace, right?
Yes,
When you get there,
absolutely.
you realize, oh my God, I don't have to run the world and fix
Mm-hmm.
everything and be
Mm-hmm.
right all the time. I can just sit back and doesn't mean I'm not going to participate and do my part, but
Right.
it means I'm not going to get that attachment and the
I
grasp.
always, yes, I always have to think of this little letter I got from a friend because I was the same. And she had written, Dear Christiane, thank you so much for your help, but I don't need it today. In love, God.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. So,
Yes, and then the real after that, the path is free to explore reality itself, like the subject-object duality, and that we think we perceive a world that is outside of ourselves. This faculty of perception is explored, and after that, then the last subtle sense of me that then falls
yes, I
away.
studied quite a number of years under Deepak Chopra, and
Mm,
many of his discussions were based around non-duality
mhm,
and also around the subject-object split
mhm,
and trying to help his students understand, we
mm.
enter R and we only create the separation in our own minds. We're really not
Yes.
separate from anything.
The interesting thing is that this interbeing, I don't experience that. I had once some insight like that, but it passed. And I personally always refer to what I'm actually experiencing right now. Otherwise, it gets too difficult because I had so many insights and they all differ. I think truth has many aspects, and we just grasp a few anyway in this life. And so this interbeing can actually not be truly experienced just through the senses. And when the subject object split goes, it's not that there is connection, it's just that there are no borders between the things any longer. But they
Right,
don't blur or they don't connect, especially. There's just no border any longer.
right.
And the next step goes right into seeing that there is nothing that has substance in what we experience. Mm.
Which again can be very frightening, but also very liberating.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that all has everything to do with how the ego manages it. And that's one of my other great teachers is Eckhart Tolle, or
Yes.
he
Now, the
loves
good
to
thing
talk
is
about
at
the
that
ego.
point, yes, at that, there is no ego anyway. At that point, um, what we think of I or ego is already so much weakened. All the layers, these assumptions are strengthened in what in the end turns into the ego or me. And it's already so weak that it doesn't totally protest any longer.
Which
It's more
is
like, this is how it is.
yeah. Oh, it's really been a joy to chat with you. Can you, what
Thank you.
before we depart, can
Mhm.
you tell me, is there a particular person or someone in your life who's been the best or the biggest mentor for you?
Yes, Kevin Chanilek, definitely, who guided me on this last leg on the journey.
Yes. And is he
Yes.
Zen teacher?
No, no, he is, his orientation comes from Theravada Buddhism.
Oh, okay.
Mhm. And he also can translate from Pali into English.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And that
Wow,
was very
that's amazing.
helpful.
Yeah, I would imagine. Yeah, just a little helpful.
Right.
Now you can actually sit and listen to Goenka run you through Vipassana and understand what he's saying when he's chanting.
Right, right. Um, and that was certainly the most helpful person. Oh, we still have regular contact. We meet once a month online
Oh, that's
and
wonderful.
chat. Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. And then when do you think you're going to have this book ready for us?
Um, I hope that end of the year the editing process will be finished. I'm just adding some more stuff because I really want to have it as a self-guide that people can use it. I got the idea when some years ago, 2 years ago actually, I had my second cancer. It was uterine cancer. And then I thought, okay, and they found a lump in the lung. And I thought, oops, if this is something that has to do with cancer in any way, it's not going to go well. What would I want to do if this is not going well? And I thought I'd write a book so other people can figure it out, even after I can't guide them any longer. Some people will be able to figure it out and then start it again.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I love that. I can't wait to read it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it'll be fun. And with all the sideways and dead end streets I ran into, and everything is in there. It's no sugarcoating, or because it really happens to everybody anyway, so it's all right.
Well, I think it's great that
Mm.
you've incorporated that into the book because it gives people a little sense of permission to run into the dead end street and to get
Absolutely.
lost. And because
Absolutely.
I have students who are concerned, am I doing it right? I'm like, I don't know, are you?
Yes, right. And
What
I
is
was saying,
right? What is
yeah,
right? There is no right and wrong. You're on
right,
the path. That's all that matters. And no
right.
amount of time that you are on that path is ever wasted. Oops, I lost you. I don't hear you. There you go. What did you say?
Some some people ask me, I'm doing this or that, and I like it. Should I go on the theta path? And I say, just follow your intuition. Your intuition tells you where to go. I cannot tell that.
That's right.
I'm not living in your body. You have to feel that, what feels right.
Well, it's that same thing we were talking about earlier. It's the clinging and grasping to the right way to do it and how am I
Right.
supposed to and is there some kind of end I'm supposed to get to?
Mm-hmm.
No, no,
Yeah.
no. There is no end. Just stay on the path, you're fine. Yeah.
Actually, there is an end point.
And death? What?
No, it's when the Buddha said, um, there is a long, there are some lines before, but the person knows the work that had to be done is done. There is no more coming into being. And this knowledge spontaneously arises. The Buddha said it, but only when it arose, I thought, gosh, she meant that literally?
Yeah.
I always thought that's some poetic expression for something.
Right, right.
But it actually really does. It's very clear. This is it. It's done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good point. Good point.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's like the work is done. And by the way, it doesn't feel special in any way.
No, the special part is these little awakenings along the way.
Yes.
I love that. Not looking for it, but just like, whoa, okay, I just got something really big about who I am and my behaviors and how I'm operating and my automatic way of being and all of that I hadn't seen before.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
So, well, I have thoroughly enjoyed our time together, Christiana.
Me too. Thank you, Maggie. It was a delightful talk.
Yes, and where can people find you?
They find me on my page findingawakening.com.
Great.
Mhm.
And they can get in touch with you that way as well.
Right.
Okay, good, good. Well, I hope we have an opportunity to chat when your book is done and we can, talk about your book and all the great things that you are sharing with the rest of us.
Yes, that would
Uh,
be wonderful.
yeah, I'd love to stay in touch with you.
Me too.
Yeah, and if you're ever in California, please come and visit my beautiful meditation center.
I saw the images, the photos, they're so beautiful.
And they don't even do it justice, the
Oh,
pictures.
really? Oh,
Yes.
I have to come.
The
Absolutely. Where are
garden,
you in California? Where is
San
the
Diego, San Diego.
that? Ah, I was with Charlotte Yoko Beck for some time in San Diego. She was a Zen teacher. Very elderly woman. She must have passed by now, yes.
Yeah, so when we get out of quarantine and we're able to travel
Yes.
again with our little masks, you come by and hang out with us.
Yeah, right.
In the meantime, please stay well and healthy.
You too, please. Stay
Yeah.
healthy, stay safe, your whole family.
Yes, thank you so much. Yours
Yes.
too. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All
It was
right.
a pleasure meeting you.
Likewise. Bye.
Bye bye.